scenery, man.
Come on, punch it.
I'll bang it.
You are listening to What the Truck.
Boom, Chad, we're coming into the home stretch, right? I think we have one more What the Truck after this one, and with us, Chicago native Kyle Lintner. He's been FreightWaves Insiders. He's been on What the Truck.
Oh,
He's
yeah?
probably the most handsome man in Chicago.
Trying.
Fantastic to be here. Great to have you on, Kyle. Thanks for just jumping in.
Always a pleasure.
I see Tom Allen, he's just glowing over there because he thinks that we might mention freight futures.
It's possible. Maybe. I suppose we could dive into it.
Let's do it. What is a freight future?
It is a way to always make money every time you participate.
Wow.
No. Freight futures are a mechanism to de-risk your freight portfolio, whether you're a shipper, carrier, or 3PL. Basically, the goal is always to identify what gives your portfolio risk. We move it into the market, and now you have no risk, thereby increasing your possible gains.
Hey, how many FreightWaves events is this for you?
Dallas, Atlanta, 3, maybe 4. How many you guys had? 4?
I don't know. I've
5?
been to 2 personally.
2?
Yeah.
This is either my 3rd or my 4th. I can't give you a concrete answer because they're all so much fun, they kind of blend together.
Well, we're trying to set you up here. Who's growing faster, FreightWaves or K-ratio?
Obviously, K-ratio. No, you guys, and in a tremendous, I hate the axiom, but hockey stick kind of growth, just from a head count perspective. You know, I can't believe how many people you're up to now, and I think, you know, I first got into freight in July of last year, and you guys were probably around 20 people strong. I feel like I knew everyone by face and by name, and now so many new faces, so many new people, and it's not like the quality has decreased with the quantity, so it's nice to see.
Well, thank you. You know, I know you're all about being here for relationship building. I don't know how much
Right.
you've actually attended. Did you get to see Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street?
I popped
what
my
do you
head
know
in.
about him?
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
I'm kind of a fan, and I'm kind
Yeah.
of not. I have
Oh.
seen the movie. I've read the book. It's a very interesting story. It's a charismatic story. He's a charismatic person. You know, we all have our differing opinions on the savoriness of his past life, I guess.
Was he claimed that when he wrote it in jail, or he came across a Tom Wolfe, ironically, book, and that he emulated his style, learned to write from Tom Wolfe's style. I don't know if you've read any Tom Wolfe, but did you find that the style of the book was like Tom Wolfe?
No, but I am not the expert in that arena. I
Okay.
think we could ask you with the doctorate in literature.
Well,
Exactly.
I haven't read the book, but
Have you read any Hunter S. Thompson?
oh, of course.
Yeah, okay.
Love
What about you?
that.
You're a Hunter S.
Love that
Thompson guy?
journalism.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say the Jordan Belfort style of writing is more similar to Hunter S. Thompson
It
than
is.
Tom
Oh.
Wolfe.
Did you know that Hunter S. Thompson used to write ESPN articles too? And we
Yeah,
are the
sure.
ESPN
Yeah.
of freight, so that's how it all ties back in together.
It all comes together.
Surprisingly knowledgeable of sports.
Me?
No, Hunter S. Thompson, not you. I know you know sports.
You're
The
actually
ESPN
not.
Hunter S.
I'm not
Thompson
sure how
articles,
to
those
take
were
that
good.
one. Bears are looking okay,
Oh, come on, man.
decent. What do you
You
think
guys
of
want me to
Mitch?
leave set?
I think Mitch Trubisky. What's
No.
his football future?
He doesn't have one. He should go short now.
Ow!
Wow.
Build up his confidence.
Oh
He's
my
still got a
God.
season to play.
You know,
He ripped them apart.
It is always what you're going to get with K-ratio. It's brutal honesty.
Well,
Whether
the
it's,
poor Bears have never had a quarterback, even when they won the Super Bowl in 1985, and then Rex Grossman took them there in 2009. He still wasn't the guy.
So,
Kyle, you know what I like about you? There's only a few people, even in this audience, that I can, maybe if we were like at the FinTech conference, but there's only a few people at this conference I can go, looking good, Kyle. And you'll get the,
you're going to get the feeling
the
good,
appropriate
Dooner.
response. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Well, I don't know what that's
right
saying
over
about
your
anybody
Not Chicago
else.
movie, it's a Philly movie. Tom knows what I'm talking about.
I think Tom was in the movie.
Were you? Oh, wow. You were an extra in the film? Tom, can you come up here real quick? Come here. Show off your FreightWaves blue shirt. Thank you, Tom.
Here he comes.
Here's Tom. He almost tripped. This is Tom Allen. Tom, what do you do around
the
here?
present, and the futures wrapped up into one.
Yeah, so I am responsible for the trucking freight futures markets at FreightWaves. That's what I do.
Wow. So you guys work pretty closely together.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
Should I trust him, or is he the?
You can try.
Is the futures the present or the future?
It is the present. I mean, they are
You're
alive
living in
now,
it.
It is the present, so you are living
I'm
it.
living in the futures
Exactly.
right now.
Hey,
okay.
what kind of conversations are you having at your booth? Because every year it kind of changes the different booths we have here. You're starting to see
Right.
a more diverse crowd of people show up. It's not just a bunch of, this isn't GATS, it's not just a bunch of trucking guys. You're
Right, it's not
seeing-
just trucking, it's not just shippers, it's not even just intermediaries. I think there are a lot of people here who are interested in the tech standpoint of it. Obviously, there's a lot of people that are looking to invest or get involved with some of these new emerging technologies.
A lot of people
you
who came in from SFO.
Yeah. Just ourselves, we've noticed that we get the typical foot traffic for what we're known for, and that's freight futures, but part of that idea of being part of the revolution of this industry, we ourselves debuted a new product that's more in line with pricing and freight intelligence for some of the operational aspects of it, because I think, like what we're all seeing out here today, there is a large amount of new ways to look at this industry, and it is a revolutionary time, so things are going to change whether you like it or not.
Yes, a lot of really smart people around here. It's a really cool conference.
Wait,
Lots
what
going
was it?
on.
What's the product? Where did you debut?
It was yesterday, it was one of the demos.
Oh, well, we're up here the whole time.
I know, I barely got to see it myself. We debuted a new interactive platform that takes your internal data benchmarked to every single indice offered through Sonar. And on top of that, then we went ahead and offered that same data because it's already living inside the platform, and you can now back test against the futures market to see what you could have got, and also take a forward look to see what you could get from a margin protection standpoint.
Wow, we don't mean to leave you on a cliffhanger here, but how do people learn more? Our next guest is on deck.
k-ratio.com is where you can find us. I have no idea who's on deck. I'll leave that to you, though.
Okay, K-Ratio. Thank you for joining us, Kyle.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Kyle
it.
Lintner, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being up here, man. And
You got your
now,
Smedium with
ladies
the
and
truck shirt?
gentlemen, Henry
All right.
Poppelwell, CEO of Skybitz. Come on up.
Here he comes.
Hey,
woo!
welcome.
His booth is the one with the Jolly Ranchers.
Yeah, best Jolly Ranchers.
Yes, they are. There's a heavy amount of grape and blue ones in that bag.
Yeah, it's because
Yeah.
I took all the orange. I
I
personally like the
knew
orange
it.
ones.
They were selected.
Emily had a theory about that.
I couldn't find hardly any watermelon or cherry.
Another fan favorite. They went pretty quickly.
Yeah, so I understand you had a little bit of trouble getting to the event like a lot of us.
Yeah, I think everybody probably really struggled to get here, and numerous delays, and ended up getting here very late Monday night. But what happened? I check into the Marriott Marquis, and they say, "Mr. Poppelwell, you've been a very loyal customer. We're going to upgrade you 2-room suite, windows all around,
Whoa.
overlooking Lake Michigan."
Is this
So-
true?
Oh,
Really?
yeah, no,
Wow.
I'm making it up. Yeah, of course it's true.
Chad and I are roommates. We didn't get that kind of treatment.
No.
We got put next to the elevator.
I could
That's what
host
they do when they
half
don't
the
like you.
conference.
You can either get the elevator or the bathroom.
So she said, "Well, that's a result of you being a very loyal Marriott customer for all your life." And so I have this kind of elite for life type status because I have a daughter, and she thinks, "Dad, that's great. You're elite for life. You're always going to get upgraded at Marriott." She doesn't realize that means I spent 3 years of my life in a Marriott hotel room.
Wow, is that what that means? Well, that's the past. You're living in the future. I'm in the present right now.
Speaking of the future, one of the cool things that his company does, Chad, is, a lot of people talk about the trailer, looking for the cab, the Freightliner, but
Right.
what does a shipper care about any of these trucking companies' actual cab for? They care about the trailer, right? Because that's where their revenue and their goods are. So what he does is they put IoT in the trailers and they help bring visibility to where the goods are that shippers care about, correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. A lot of trucking is a reasonably inefficient industry, right? There's a lot more trailers than there are trucks. There's 3 or 4 times as many trailers. They're parked all over North America. What we do is we help companies bring a lot of efficiency. We help them optimize that. And the other thing we do is we help them know whether a trailer's loaded or empty. So you know not only that the trailer's available, but that it has cargo and it's moving.
Well, you guys are doing some innovative stuff, but you've been doing it for a while now. How long have you been in the game? How many trailers are you tracking?
Yeah, so great question. So Skybitz started about 20 years ago, and today we track just shy of 700,000 trailers for most of the largest trucking fleets in North America.
So you're not just tracking goods, you're tracking data too, I guess.
Yeah, I think
The merger of the physical and the digital,
yeah,
right?
That's it, man.
It can't be lost.
No, that's exactly right. If you think about it, today, the movement of information is as much as the movement of cargo, right? It's the movement of freight, it's the movement of information. And shippers,
Yeah.
receivers, they expect to know where that, Amazon's created a great experience. Where's my stuff? And you know where everything is all the time. That's become the table stakes that everybody expects. So it's the movement of information as well as the movement of goods.
Sometimes you'll see demos here, and I always try to put things into context and think the practicality of how you'd actually use this technology. And not necessarily at this particular event, but I've seen demos before, and it's like, it's pretty clear these people have never worked a day in operations in the logistics industry because there is no way that this would work on a functional level. You guys have that experience though, and that is what separates your product a little bit, you were telling me.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, our whole company is folks that have been doing this for an awful long time, folks that have been in the industry for a long time before they came to Skybitz. Myself, I spent 22 years in logistics before joining Skybitz. And I think as you look around here at the show, which is just incredible this time.
Oh yeah.
You see a lot of companies, and there are newer companies and there are more established companies. And I think these kind of the revolution, as it was just described, with the kind of the bad word disruption.
Yeah.
But I think it puts a lot of onus back on an established company like Skybitz. You got to continue to innovate. You got to continue to grow. You got to continue to adapt to what the market is offering you.
Yeah, well, speaking of doing a little bit of both, Shelley Simpson spoke earlier today of JB Hunt 360 coming out in 2017, and one of her points was interesting. She said, I can track a pizza all the way to my doorstep, but some of our shipments, as soon as they leave the dock, we can't see it, and we don't know even when they're arriving at their other destination. You guys are a part of the transparency and visibility push, though, right? You want this. You're supporting that change.
That's absolutely right, and I think it's absolutely a requirement. JB Hunt is a large customer of ours, as a matter of fact. We help them keep track of where their trailers are all throughout North America, and I think that visibility has become an expectation. And I think companies that deliver that and embrace that differentiate themselves from their competition.
It's interesting, and we were talking about that term disruption on the last What the Truck we were doing. We were talking about it at your booth, and in some ways it's become this marketing buzz term that, I'm a disruptor or I'm an influencer. It's a LinkedIn headline. It's something people put in front of their title than an actual practical thing, because when you think about it, being a disruptor in supply chain is kind of a terrible thing. Who wants to get disrupted? You need your goods to flow.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that the way I prefer to think about it is, view the ideas of disruptors as new ideas, things that haven't been done before, new technologies, improvement to the process. But for a company maybe a little more established, make sure you have your ear to the market. Make sure you understand it. Make sure you continue to invest in what your customers are looking for.
Yeah, I think some of it's a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. We're adapting. We're wanting to learn. We're wanting to change. And it sounds like you guys are constantly doing that.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think if you don't, you become. I don't want to mention anybody, but you become maybe like a large,
dinosaur,
right? A large retail company that's not around anymore.
Be the comet, not the dinosaur.
Right, exactly.
Be in the air, not on the ground.
Right.
Well, it's great to have you on. You want to tell them how to get in touch with you?
Yeah, sure. So obviously, Skybitz, we have a fairly large presence here at the show. Skybitz.com is really good and pretty interactive, so you can learn a lot about the company.
Let's talk about your booth really quick, because one of my favorite things, because I don't really get to go up to many of them except when I'm doing these pre-interviews. What kind of conversations are you having with people here, and how have they changed over the years? Are they becoming easier, and are you talking to a different type of person?
So I think that one of the things that we really like about the FreightWaves conference is a different type of person. It's a different type of conversation. Some other shows that we attend are a little more stoic. There's quite frankly not a whole lot going on.
Yeah.
Here,
we won't name names, right?
Yeah,
no acronyms there,
right,
or three-letter names.
Some others that are around anyway. But here, so we have maybe 2 or 3 different types of conversations. We have customers. They want to know what's new. They want to kind of check in on how development's going, that type of thing. The other thing that happens a lot here are people recognize our company is well established. They recognize the size and kind of scale we bring. And so they're like, okay, how do we collaborate? How are we going to work together? Back to Shelley Simpson, right? How are we going to work together? How are we going to collaborate? And how are we going to bring something better to the marketplace?
She said a really interesting thing, not just on stage, but on this show before she did her thing on stage this morning. And we asked her, when she looks around, does she see competition or collaboration? She said, absolutely, collaboration. If there's a great idea here, it's something that we want to work with and bring to market for ourselves. And if you're looking at a legacy company like them and how they've grown, and I mean, even their marketing's incredible. I don't know if you saw, you were at their party, even that 360
amazing, right?
camera. They really bring it all together. They're a very, very sharp company, and probably reason why they're one of your biggest customers.
Yeah, and I, back to her point, I think you just have to consider competition as given. There's always going to be somebody out there that offers an alternative,
and she did admit
right?
that, yeah.
Yeah, and so embrace the collaboration part of it. Don't sit there and think, oh, I'm competing with everybody in this room. You're not going to stand alone anyway, right? So find the folks that similar vision, similar outlook on how we help the market, and work with them.
Fantastic. It is great to have you on and learning a bit about Skybitz and what is happening. Henry Poppel.
What do you got next to do here?
Yeah, today?
Yeah, what are you going to round the day out? We have a couple more shows on our live stream. What are you going to be doing next?
Yeah, so I've got a couple of customer meetings, and then obviously I'm going to sit in for a couple more of the sessions that are going on in here.
Nice.
Yep.
Howard Green, I think he's going on stage. I saw him walking by with JT, so that's going to be pretty exciting.
Are you excited about any of the demos that you've seen, or any of the booths you've seen?
Actually, a lot of them. There are many companies here that are kind of taking data and figuring out how to, I don't want to say customize, but making it very personal for the companies that they're working with. What's going on, with the Amazons, the Uber Freights, the Convoys is very exciting stuff. So, I like to keep an eye on that. There's quite a bit to like here.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Hey, next time we travel, Chad, we're going to have to stay to Marriott with him.
Yeah,
that way we get a little bit more space from each other.
Plenty of room.
Yeah. All right, thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Well earned.
Let's get him a shirt, too.
Nice to have you.
Thanks, guys.
Here's a couple shirts for
all right, thanks.
for you guys. There you go. Thanks for joining us.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Mike Zayonc, he's coming up. Mike Zayonc from PNP, founder of Plug and Play Supply Chain and Play Center.
What's
Here
happening,
to play
Mike?
on What the Truck. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
Thanks for having me, guys.
We're glad to get you back on because when I saw you on the schedule here, I was excited to ask you a lot of questions because I like what you guys fund. It's really interesting, but also I believe that are you Canadian?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Vancouver, Canada, and then moved to California about 5 years ago.
Is the sports scene in Canadian college the same as crazy it is in the United States?
Definitely not as big, the sports scene, but yeah, America's like the big leagues, but there's a lot of great teams in Canada as well, like professional teams. Like the world's best basketball team right now is the Toronto Raptors. So.
Yeah, that's true. Are you a Drake fan?
I like Drake.
Okay, he's getting booed off a few stages.
So, well, tell us a little bit about the Plug and Play Supply Chain Center. It's the world's largest end-to-end supply chain innovation platform, and there's an Accelerator. It's a 12-week program. You want to tell us a little bit about that? It sounds fascinating. How does it work?
Yeah, so I started the supply chain and logistics program at Plug and Play. At Plug and Play, we're the world's largest accelerator. We're also the most active venture capital firm in Silicon Valley. So as a global firm, we made about 230 investments last year. And this year we'll make about 15 investments just in supply chain and logistics startups. So really excited about kind of how startups are just raising a lot of capital in the supply chain and logistics market, and excited to hopefully invest in many of these companies. Plug and Play as a firm, we've invested in about 10 unicorns so far, so like Dropbox,
Wow.
PayPal,
Wow.
Lending Club are some of our investments. In the supply chain space, our best investment is in Rappi, which is a last mile delivery company that became the first unicorn in Latin America. So they're doing kind of last mile deliveries, kind of like Postmates and DoorDash all across Latin America. But I mean, we've invested in quite a few really great startups, and a number of the startups here we're pretty well connected to as well.
So how do you guys decide what to fund in? What makes something that, this is going to be unicorn, this is a train worth riding? Is it like the Shark Tank? What happens in real life?
Yeah, so I mean, we're like obviously very professional, and we have a large team that's always analyzing and figuring out at an early stage metrics like is it a good founding team? Is it a company that we think could scale? Craig, for example, the CEO of FreightWaves, he bugged us because we didn't invest in his company when.
Oh,
when
were you like all Mark Cuban? And we're like, I'm out.
Yeah. No, I wish we would have invested. We love FreightWaves, and we really think that there's a great opportunity to disrupt the industry. And really be a large player in the sector and grow. So what we're really looking for is companies with that big vision that could be the next unicorn, but we're also looking for companies that essentially can be resilient and scale and pivot their business models and really find a unique technology that can grow. And I mean, we're looking at so many sectors or so many different technology areas all across supply chain and logistics. So want to place bets in kind of all these different areas, and hopefully some of them will be really successful.
Are you looking more for, when you look for an innovative company, are you looking more for, is it the leadership and the culture, or is it more like the unique scalable technology? If you had to pick one or the other.
So the most important thing for us when we invest into startups is team. So we want to make sure that there's a strong management team within the company, and a team that could grow and is very hardworking, passionate. I think is really important to really believe in their vision and do whatever it takes to be successful. So that's probably the most important thing for us. But yeah, we look at like the traction the company's getting. We look at is it a unique technology, and many other factors as well.
I was having lunch with the CEO of Vector right over there, and we were talking about, he was from San Francisco out here. He was another one of those guys that invests in a company, looks for investments. And I asked him if San Francisco, what the market was like there, if it's a great place to raise money and to find talent, but that can be its own challenge because you have so much competition and it can get very expensive. And he even said that if he were to start another company now, he probably would not found it in San Francisco. What is your opinion of that, and are you looking to other markets like the Chicagos, the Chattanoogas of the world?
Yeah, so definitely looking to other markets. Definitely think the best place in the world to raise funding for a startup is Silicon Valley, because 50% of the venture capital in the world is based on one road, on Sand Hill Road in like Menlo Park area of Silicon Valley. So a lot of the major firms are there. So if you are a startup, you should definitely have be able to tap into that market, and being there is kind of the best way to raise capital and build those relationships. But one thing maybe I'll mention is that we did open up an office this year in Bentonville, Arkansas. So we're really excited to have that as a new office in the middle of kind of the United States, and partnering there with Walmart and Tyson Foods, JB Hunt, and Georgia Pacific. So if a company wants to have like a more affordable place to live and grow their team, that's something we're really excited to have started this year.
Well, tell us about some of the companies that you have invested in. How would you like describe some of the technologies you're investing in, and what's got you excited?
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously excited about the startups that are successful and that continue to raise funding. A couple of companies maybe I'll mention, besides Rappi, which obviously raised $1 billion from SoftBank this year, that we're very excited in the supply chain logistics market, is Schoof Technologies, which is a kind of a new connectivity that is able to track assets in ports and warehouses. That it's a very seasoned management team that we invested early on, that also raised $4 million from Kleiner Perkins just last year, which is one of the top firms in Silicon Valley. We're also excited about a company called Cogniac, which is now implemented with a lot of the railroads across America and has other logistics and manufacturing applications. So we co-invested in Cogniac with Gradient Ventures, which is Google's AI fund. So they essentially are providing a computer vision inspection technology that can be tagged into any camera system. So they can detect things in real time, and it's been really useful, for example, in railroads where, for example, in Mexico, they'll have a human that's trying to detect, for example, human beings hiding on the trains, but they can just tag that into a camera system. And better than a human, they can actually detect things like that in real time, and also have many predictive maintenance, for example, applications. So that's a company as well that's getting a lot of traction. But I mean, the thing about supply chain is there's so many different areas around IoT and analytics and even traceability that we're looking at. So there's a lot of areas that are really great to invest in.
Where's the money trending right now? We see a lot of trends in supply chain where, sometimes blockchain gets really big, or TMS gets really big, or augmented reality has been talked about. Or automation. Where's the money flowing right now?
Yeah, I think all these areas are really hot. I think we see the blockchain investments have probably cooled down a little bit in recent years. Plug and Play is one of the most active investors in blockchain companies, but we have seen when we first started the program a lot of caution around a lot of these blockchain startups because of some of these large kind of Bitcoin like IPOs that happened over the years. But I think there's a lot of companies raising a lot of capital around visibility. Like we've worked a lot with Project 44, for example, that's here that raised pretty significant capital. We've seen like, for example, Flexport, which became a digital freight forwarder. They've raised a ton, and there's a lot of others kind of doing something similar. And then we've seen a ton of these freight marketplaces as well, where they're also raising quite a bit of funding. But I think really anything around data and collecting data and analytics, those are really hot areas for us.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for joining us. How do people reach out? How do they learn more? If people want to get funded, what do they go about doing?
Yeah, so if they're interested in learning more about Plug and Play and just being involved in one of our programs, we want to support startups that are hoping to scale their companies. We do not charge equity for any of these startups. We do it for free because we want to connect them to the industry. And connect them to kind of our 300 corporate partners, and essentially they can go on our website at pnptc.com, or they can just reach out to me or any of our team.
Well, fantastic. Thanks for joining us. You seem to have your pulse on what is happening in the industry. I can tell your enthusiasm is infectious. Mike Zayonc for Plug and Play Supply Chain. Thanks for being on.
Yeah, tgive you so much for joining us. We got a t-shirt for him.
Oh, yes. Cool. Get him a t-shirt. Share the love.
We'll give you one of each. Pass them out to some of your friends. Okay. I see Grant over there. Grant from Emerge. Grant, do you want to come on up? Grant Crawford. I'll give you a little bumper.
Hey, Grant.
5, count it, 5.
Grant Crawford, hello.
Hey, thanks for the water. It's been keeping me hydrated all day.
President of Emerge.
Get a camera shot.
Yeah, of course. We need some more. Can someone bring us some waters for this segment?
Hey, first of all, congratulations on cracking the top 25 of the Freight Tech Awards. I believe you were number 18.
Yep.
Yes. I don't know what number you were last year, but you weren't in the top 25, so obviously you're climbing up the leaderboard.
How does it feel, Grant?
I tell you what, top 20 feels good.
Yeah.
Now I'm an Ohio State guy, so I'd rather be in the top 5, 3, but
all
top
right.
20 works.
Yeah, well, you got it. You got to crack the top 25 to get into the top 5, I guess. Way to go. So that's exciting. I mean, what are you going to do with how are you going to celebrate?
Celebrate, I think, continue to keep our nose to the grindstone. I mean, all kidding aside, right now we've got some great momentum going, but the market continues to be prime for people that are. To me, what's differentiating us is we're doing what we say we're going to do. We're not talking about future state things. So we're continuing to evolve and offer new things, but we're delivering on our prop right now, which we set out to do. So.
And Grant, what is that prop? So for people just tuning in, they're not familiar with Emerge, because Freight Tech is still a market where we're trying to educate everyone on what we're doing. So for people who can't be here, who are at home, we're stuck by the snowstorm. A lot of us couldn't make it because of the blizzard. Actually, a lot of us did make it despite the blizzard. I think we still gated over 1,400 out of the 1,500 total, which is pretty amazing. And thank you to everybody who showed up, because it was not easy, including for the FreightWaves team. But for people who can't be here and can't go to the Emerge booth, what do you guys do and what's it all about?
So the first thing I'd say is we are making people believe that unicorns exist. We are a digital freight marketplace, but we're many things. We're a broker. We're a digital broker. We're a carrier in a sense. We're a TMS. At the end of the day, we're providing visibility to the market of what's actually out there and available. Live market rates, live market data. We want to be as agnostic as possible and just be a tool, a kayak per se, for a shipper to come in and manage their own business, but as well as have visibility to what else is out there, options that are out there, and just allow them the opportunity to take advantage of them when they want to.
So in a sense, you're like a deal matchmaking service?
It's fair.
Okay,
it's fair.
All right.
There you go.
You guys are in Scottsdale, Arizona, is that right?
We are in beautiful Scottsdale. It might be a great place for FreightWaves to think about next November. It's a great place for conferences.
Okay, yeah.
Are those
Is
ladies
it
here with
a
you from
warm
Scottsdale?
heat? Is it a dry heat out there right now?
It is a fantastic dry heat right now, yeah.
Very nice. So you guys are, you're many things. Well, about like how long have you guys been around? And
Yeah,
what size are you?
I think we have a really cool story too. So we're about 3 years old, but the first 2 years was just building the platform. So our co-founders are Michael and Andrew Leto. And they founded Global Trans, an incredibly successful brokerage to date, $2 billion brokerage.
Global Trans. You might know them from off the supply chain,
Yeah,
Chad.
I'm familiar with them. They sponsored Off the Supply Chain.
Yeah, so Andrew and Michael stepped aside there about 3 years ago, dove into Emerge. Myself, I've got 25 years in the carrier side. I was at FedEx for the majority of that. Chairman of our board was 40 years at UPS. So, the way I like to put it is that we're transportation guys doing technology. We have the voice of the shipper at our fingertips. It allows us to continue to navigate our roadmap and take the feedback directly from the customer, from the shipper, and build technology that applies to them versus build things that we think might work.
What is that voice saying? What is that inner voice of the shipper impelling you to do?
Right now, the shipper wants to have options. They want to have the ability to tap in not just to the 50 or 60 carriers and handful of brokers they do business with, but that greater market. And again, that's what folks like us are providing, is that visibility to upwards of 30,000 carriers that come into our platform on a regular basis. And it's traditionally the RFP process was very arduous, very costly. A lot of resources went into it. And the shipper just didn't have the time or the resources to sift through more than that 50 or 60 carriers. So we do all the work, we do all the heavy lifting. The technology does the heavy lifting.
I would just like to vouch for that too, because it's not just the shipper; it's also the 3PL. It's a lot of work getting the demands of an RFP out, especially when it comes time for contract season, and then it's especially difficult and especially time wasting. A, when you don't win, but B, when the market goes to hell and everyone goes to spot market, right. Because neither in the ocean or on the land, contracts they're, as Craig calls them, paper rates. They're kind of BS. Nobody really honors them in bad markets.
Yep, that's exactly right. So our overflow market provides them the nimbleness for that freight that falls outside of their route guide and provides them visibility. But on the flip side, our dynamic RFP tool allows them to continue to wash their contract rates through our platform and see, to your point, is that contract worth staying in, or is there something out there that's that the market's going to bear that's worth making a dynamic change? So in essence, instead of an annual RFP, they can use our platform and run a RFP weekly, monthly, quarterly, seasonally, however often they'd like to, by lane, and then make sure they're always taking advantage of what the market's bearing. But ultimately, again, we just want to provide the options, be as like I said, as agnostic as possible, and we just have a flat pass-through fee that is basically funds what we do, but the technology itself we built is free. There's no SaaS fee, there's no transaction fee. It's just if we bring them capacity, that's when we get paid.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
If we save I'll quote one of our newest customers when and it's a household branded name that we all use every day. And
Kleenex. Can we get Tide? Tide Pods.
Close. Keep going. No.
Jif.
But ultimately, when we finished that up, the response from the CEO was, "You didn't give me a single reason not to use your platform," and that's ultimately what we're trying to do.
Well, so you're working with a lot of data. You've got a carrier perspective. You are you function as a brokerage. You've got your pulse on what shippers are wanting. But you're tracking in real time. But you guys say that you also you're tracking the past. I assume that must mean something to do with the cyclical and past history. But how does that play into your data collection and you guys making good decisions?
Yeah, ultimately it goes again back to providing visibility to the past on the buying behavior that the shipper now has new visibility to. You'd be amazed, or I've been amazed, anyways, with the size of customers that are out there that didn't have visibility to their how they purchased, how they procured. Were there folks in their 200 locations that procured making good, wise business decisions or procuring decisions? Were they taking advantage of what was out there, or were they doing what was maybe hitting that easy button? So our data provides the decision makers all the way down to the guy hitting the tender button full visibility, not only what's available, but how they purchased in the past, and try to, at least bring it to light so they can take advantage of different opportunities if they want to.
Sonar 5.0, it was unveiled yesterday on stage. How, and I think sort of the blockbuster thing, the unveil at the end was the rate predictor. How important is a category like that to both the shipper and the carrier? Because we all know there's load boards, and a lot of, we're always trying to get closer and closer to live rates, but when you look at something like DAD, they'll tell you what the average weekly van average was, but the word weekly is in there and the word average is in there, which means that it's already kind of happened.
Yep.
So you already kind of know what you paid, and you're just kind of benchmarking against the rates that you got. But knowing what you're going to pay is really the secret sauce.
It is, and again, you think back to the annual, the traditional RFP process. In a lot of cases, to your point, the shipper just wanted to be able to budget for what he's going to spend or what she's going to spend. So that information that continues to be more available to all of us just helps them in that process. But back to how we look at it from a merge standpoint, while it's good information to have, we're still ultimately providing the shipper actual rates because it's actual power that's bidding on it. So we're not projecting what we expect it to be and then pushing it to the shipper. We're bringing them actual trucks that here's what we're willing to perform the move for today, versus us guessing then going out and finding the power.
Well, how far back does your data go?
Well, again, we're 3 years old, but we really just started actively. We launched the platform about 14 months ago.
So it's improving as we speak.
It is, absolutely. Growing dynamically.
Tell us a little bit about your background.
My first job in the business, I woke up one day and realized I'm the old guy now, but my first job in the business was loading trucks for FedEx Ground before it was even called FedEx.
All right, I had the purple promise too. I was with FedEx Trade Networks. I think they're FedEx supply chain there, and anyone I would tell that I worked there, they would be like, oh, you must drive the truck.
No.
And I know, that's the horror. That's why I started talking about this. That's why I started a podcast, because I like talking about freight, but outside of the context of events like here or conference calls or your office, there's nobody really to talk about freight with.
Yeah, so my first job was loading the trucks in 1991. They briefly tried to put me behind the wheel, and I failed miserably at that. So I jumped back on the dock. I grew up through the FedEx stable of companies, both at ground and freight. My last role there was Vice President of International Ops. Had the chance to open up FedEx Freight up in Canada and lived up in Canada for a couple of years. But I look back at my career now, and I'm so thankful that I was able to really grow up in the front lines. Because again, I think about the environment we're in now, and we talk about the driver shortage and how do we attract drivers to the industry. And I'll tell you, those guys and gals have such a challenging job, and it's exciting for me. It's one of the things that I love about Emerge, because one of the things we haven't touched on yet is how it impacts the carrier. And ultimately, since we are automating how shippers and carriers are brought together, there's more money to go back in the pocket for both folks. Because this is technology. So ultimately the driver is going to put more money in his or her pocket. And there's two ways to attract drivers to the industry, in my opinion. One is find a way to make their life easier. And there's a lot of tools out there, fantastic tools to help them do that from a technology standpoint right now. Not only make them easier in terms of making sure they're moving and earning as much as possible, just the day in life of the driver though on the road, things like Trucker Tools and Truck Stop are doing a great job with that. But the flip side is ultimately put more money in their pocket, right? So if you're doing those two things, I think we can attract drivers to the industry. And I love how we're having an impact of that, and having grown up in the front line with the drivers. I mean, the first 15 years of my career was working on the docks in some capacity with the drivers, and it's fun to be a part of, I think, driving guys to the business again.
Well, Grant, it is great to have you on the stage. Thank you so much. Congratulations on how you are emerging really fast onto the freight tech scene. Tell them how to get in touch with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a booth here, of course, emergemarket.com. They can reach us there as well.
Okay, and let's get this man a t-shirt, Dooner.
Here's a few shirts for you, and I think you might have a little entourage with you over there, so
I'll make
bring
sure
them over to you. Thank you for coming on.
All
Thanks,
right,
guys.
Grant Crawford, everybody.
Woo!
Very nice, thank you.
5, count 'em 5.
Here comes Mario from iTrucker. Mario Pawlowski.
Yes.
My mother is Polish.
Really?
Yes, dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry.
Is it Mario or Mario?
Mario.
Mario.
Oh, well, my real name is Mariusz, but
Mario.
everybody is calling me Mario because it's very hard to pronounce, actually, Mariusz, with the S and Z at the end.
Well, I have seen you a lot on Twitter. We're Twitter friends. It's good to meet you here in person.
Yeah, good to meet you too, guys.
You seem to key in on like cutting edge stories, like automation. I see you, robotics a lot of times.
Well, that's on Twitter, but we have a huge community on Facebook, which is, tracking related community. We have about 65,000 followers and members. We have a page, which is a Facebook page. We have a group. We have about 30-something thousand members. Very engaging group. Daily, 20,000 people are live on the group. So.
What do you guys discuss? Because social media is such an amazing thing. If you look at that board over there, even people who use the hashtag FWLive on Twitter, they're ending up right on these digital boards, these LEDs that we're ensconced in. We're just surrounded by them everywhere, Mario. Have you been tweeting about this event?
Yeah, I mean, we're
do it more.
No, we're gonna do it. Trust me.
Easy.
When we come back home today, and then I'm gonna go to the office. Next whole week is gonna be tweet about the event and about the shootout is gonna be on the Facebook and everywhere. So
where is home?
Home is here in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Well, no wonder. Hey, is this your first FreightWaves Live, or have you been to others?
No, I was invited by you guys to Atlanta on the panel. So that's my second one.
We don't get to see those things because, we have our panel up here. Before we were in that audio octagon, we were even more closed up.
Yeah, Goldfish Bowl.
Yeah, we didn't really get to see anybody unless they came into the booth. We have to, and now that we're live streaming everything, though, not just us, but any of you, if you pick this stream over the main stages over there, not only are you awesome, but you can still go back and listen to the Wolf of Wall Street and all of those other things that happened up on the stage. Did you happen to catch that, the Wolf of Wall Street?
No, actually, I wouldn't. I was so busy with talking to the people which we are actually agreed to meet here.
Oh, yeah?
The show, there are so many people from LinkedIn and from social media, who we have some things in common. They like to, go through our platform, connect with our audience on our social media because they are potential customers for them. And we are really, really growing fast. We're actually the fastest growing online tracking related community in the United States right now.
Wow, okay. Well, it sounds like you're all about the collaboration, the relationship building.
Yes.
What else
That's what Belfort was saying too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the Wolf of Wall Street was saying.
That is what he was saying. And he was very motivational, strangely motivated, even with, some of his rough past, but I really liked his message.
You're saying do more TikToks too. That reminds me. Keep talking.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do a TikTok.
Just keep going. Be natural.
Mario, do you check out any of the demos? Do you see what some of the innovation is happening here at the event?
Well, I mean, I was mostly, about connecting with the other people here. So I saw a few demos, but not much, today. So I'm gonna recap everything, on the, record. So that's what I'm gonna do, So I'm kind of doing this that way, I'm processing things a little bit. Whatever I'm seeing live, I have to sleep with that few days.
Yeah, you got to process it. But there's like an intellectual energy. There's a hum. There's a stimulation. There's ideas floating around. Anything capturing your attention on the ideas of what the solutions are around here?
Yeah, it's all about technology solutions. Everybody seems to want to disrupt something. This word disruption is kind of I believe it started being overused a little bit.
Oh yeah, we were talking about.
I'm calling this fixing, maybe, or the problems,
Well, now that you're talking about social media, talking about engaging on there, and it's like something has kind of jumped the shark. A term has just really become passé when I like to equate it to people start putting it in their LinkedIn title, like disruptor, influencer. /this/that. Because if you think about it, in supply chain, it's not about disruption. And if you watch the video that FreightWaves put out, and I think our lovely Jonathan Smith over there may have helped edit that one and use his drone, but at the end of the video, it's one we use for recruiting, and Craig Fuller says something akin to, we're not trying to disrupt an industry, we're trying to create one.
That's what I'm thinking is the best way to put it that way, because disruption, in lots of people it sounds not really like that you really want to help something. You want to disrupt, because the word disruption means like
Like interruption.
According to me, like interrupt. Go to somebody's wedding, get drunk and start dancing on the table.
I object,
That's a distraction, So.
No doubt it did come from a previous decade where there did need to be some changes, some revolution. But I like that idea and I get it. That's almost like what Shelley Simpson is talking about with JB Hunt 360, how you can be both an incumbent and a disruptor, so to speak. It's a paradox, and it's actually creating a new industry
it's a
altogether.
Paradox inside of a riddle cracked in a fortune cookie, Chad.
And you are an enigma wrapped in a
riddle
mystery.
You're an enigma wrapped in a riddle. All right, Mario, tell me. So you said something earlier on, and we moved on for it, but I want to go back for a second because I know you really well from Twitter. Why is the conversation a little bit different on Twitter? Your focus there seems to be a bit more on technology than it would be on something like Facebook. Is it just you leveraging the platforms to their strengths?
Yeah, I mean, basically what I'm doing, there's different audience and different people using, I realized that long time ago, Twitter and Facebook. Facebook is for basically people who are a little bit, older, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Twitter is used by people who have let's say, even our president, Trump,
Yeah.
He loves the Twitter.
So, policy is decided and dictated and settled over
also,
Twitter.
I'm connected with so much influencers like Mike Quindazzi, one of the biggest, influencers in the world.
Yeah.
They're all talking about the AI. If I post this content on my group, on the page, I'm going to start losing, audience in the same day.
What do they want to talk about? Because they're
talk
older.
about
Rates?
tracking.
They want to talk about rates all the time?
No.
Okay.
No. They're talking about first thing, ELD,
Yeah.
of course. Second thing, detention. Third thing, let's say, driver shortage, which is not really driver shortage. But that's what is on Facebook. And they want to talk about this, but we're trying to keep, very positive. And iTrucker is actually kind of a bridge between old school, tracking. We're kind of trying to explain them, that this technological revolution is just going to happen, and they have to go with that, So.
Well, Mario, you are a revolution happening right now. Tell everybody how to get in touch with you.
Yeah. How do they join that conversation,
The
right?
iTrucker community.
Yes, please visit our page at Facebook at iTrucker or iTrucker.com.
Yeah.
And our group, Trackers Past, Present, and Future, at Facebook also.
All right, I'm going to stay on Twitter because the one thing I don't like about
Fantastic.
too political for me. Too political, and you start just hating your relatives and stuff because
I'm
it's just too
trying
polarizing.
to stay away from political, because it's, every post on our group and page, is making huge commotion, and we have to diffuse it.
Nice.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us.
All right, thank you. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now, stepping up to the stage, it's managing partner Cassandra Gaines from Cassandra Gaines Law Group. Cassandra, come on in. Hi,
Well,
Cassie.
hi.
Can we call you Cassie?
Yeah, of course you can. Does that sound really sexy and exciting when a lawyer is jumping on?
Well,
Of course it
and
does.
here
You
you
see
are.
the people flocking.
Have we done
Closer.
anything to get sued? Yeah, now they're all like, oh, what kind of law can be a lot of things. Like Chad is a doctor, but like, what does that mean?
Okay.
What does that mean, right, Chad? You're a doctor of words.
I'm a doctor of humanities.
So what are you a lawyer of?
Okay, good question, because
Yeah.
there are a lot of lawyers. I got to make sure I'm using this mic correctly, too.
Now you're great. Now you're
Okay,
awesome.
good.
Sounding good. Very
All right,
proper.
a lot of lawyers, right? I specifically do transportation law.
Okay.
So if you ask me about employees and family law and divorces, I'm not going to know, and I'm not going to care. I do trucking and logistics, and that's what I've done my whole career. So I've worked for Schneider, I've worked for Echo, worked for Arrive, Global Trans. I have my own company now.
Well, have you seen trends because of these nuclear verdicts that are happening here in
Yes.
2019?
Yes, I
Yeah?
have. And that's heading right for logistics companies, mostly
Yeah.
because trucks get in accidents and then they don't have enough insurance, maybe $1 million. And when you hurt somebody on the road, $1 million is nothing.
Right.
So then they go to sue the shippers, they go to see the brokers.
But to a lot of
and
carriers, that's
where I
like
get hired.
everything. $300,000 can put a lot of small carriers, a $300,000 verdict, and just having to deal with the courts and deal with the law and being wrangled and tied up in that
It's
imbroglio.
expensive.
It is.
Well, and rates are going up with insurance companies now.
It's true. And it's very difficult to
Yeah,
get
it has a
insurance.
cause and effect on both sides, right?
What's a carrier to do?
Well, let's see. I usually represent now, although I work for Schneider, now I represent brokers.
Okay.
So I help brokers avoid being sued, if that's even possible these days. But carriers, there's a lot they can do to avoid getting sued. And a lot of it goes down to safety and maintenance and being careful of things. But do you guys want to talk about something even more fun?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is way more fun because
Okay.
every lawyer who's going to get up here and say they're a transportation lawyer, they're all going to say
I think you're going to be the only lawyer.
accidents.
We've met our lawyer quota.
Oh, okay.
Yes. You will be the What the Truck lawyer for the
Well,
day.
find another one here. Maybe, I don't know if any others are here. They're going to talk about accidents. Everybody wants to talk about accidents. Let's talk about something, because you'll talk about accidents with people in this room, and they've heard it all. They'll be like, wah, wah, wah. They want to hear about things that impact their day every day. So let's talk about, have you ever heard of hostage?
You want that?
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Wah, wah, wah. Accidents. Here she goes again, ruining our day.
So you
Slips
said
and
something
falls,
more
accidentes.
fun.
Have you ever been on the back
Give her
of a
some
bus
applause.
just yelling at people with like upside down question marks and things on it next to it?
That'd be pretty cool.
Yes, it
Wouldn't that
would.
be a great lawyer if
Hey,
that was
I got
it?
a question for you. So, what is, because not everybody knows law, and law can be vague and it can be interpreted, and a lot of people kind of think they're their own lawyer because they watch too much TV.
Yes, they do.
What is something that most people in this room, what risk are most people in this room exposed to, especially in transportation, that they're not aware of?
That they're not aware of. Oh, this is such a good one. There's a lot of them that come to
Yeah.
mind. This is
Like
a good
that guy
one.
right there. What risk is he's not aware that he's,
Oh,
be careful,
that guy?
you are at
Okay.
risk, sir.
I wonder if he is collecting way too much data he's getting from ELDs.
Oh.
And now he knows the trucker's speed. He knows the trucker's hours of service.
He knows too
location,
much.
With the truckers driving through the weather, he knows way too much, which gets him into a lawsuit.
So can
Wait,
you know
so
too much?
Most people in this room won't even know that. They'll be all excited. I got this. I know how fast that carrier's going.
So are you
Woo.
talking about, is this data policies? They're mismanaging data policies and leveraging it in ways that it's not intended, or most people not reading the
They don't-
terms and conditions that may apply?
No, they're fine doing it. What happens is that they have too much data, and then what happens is that truck gets in an accident. Plaintiff attorney finds out.
You've
that
just
they
got Zach
collected all-
Strickland's attention, too.
Whoa, he's riveted.
Plaintiff attorney finds out that the logistics company that hired the trucker that's doing track and trace knows how fast the truck was going, that the truck was driving through bad weather, that the truck was out of service or out of hours. Well, what happens? That's not good information to know. It's exciting operationally.
Oh, it makes you
not
liable.
good.
I know
Wow,
what you're
who
saying. So you're
knew?
self-liable. It's sort of like when we heard when the airplane went off the runway.
Yeah.
They have to shut down the airport at that because suddenly they can't say, okay, we treated the runways, we didn't know anything was going to happen because a plane literally just went off the runway. Now they're negligent.
Yes, that's
So it's-
exactly right. Do you remember you guys all remember the nuclear verdict that just came out that kind of blew everybody's minds with Werner?
Yeah.
And the truck was literally on the road in an ice storm. That's what the judgment was. A woman was driving
The other way.
She lost other direction. She lost speed of her truck. She was going too fast. She spins around, goes over the median, hits the truck. The Werner truck. This nice guy just driving down the road minding his business. That's what they paid for, is because that truck was on the road in bad weather. Well, guess what? If the broker knew that truck was on the road in bad weather too,
The broker
broker's
knew too
oh.
much.
The broker knew too much. The
You-
broker always knows too much.
You
or
can
do they?
know too much. No, so
You
what,
can know too
seriously,
You make a
much.
great point, though.
What does a broker do?
Well, no, she
Like-
makes a great point because before you could have some plausible deniability. Before there was all of this data, documents could get lost. You know, you could be like, I never got it. You
but
could drop it in the
you
paper
can't-
shredder.
Here's another thing.
There ain't no digital paper
You
shredders,
can't
Chad.
be accountable for what you say you don't know if you should have known, so maybe the broker should know if he's dispatching someone out in bad weather.
yep, that's true. I tell brokers often take care of your carriers. If you know they're driving in bad weather, maybe let them know. Don't drive in bad weather. How about get off the roads and we'll help you
But
rearrange
Chad,
that
in real
shipment.
life,
But is the broker
But you're
most
taking
of them
care
are
of
not going to do
carriers,
that. Most brokers
I
are not
know.
making that call. They're like,
Yeah.
no, get the freight there.
I
That's
know,
true.
I
Someone
agree.
has to die sometimes.
So was the broker responsible in this Werner situation?
I made that up.
Oh,
Hey, wait a second.
I mean, I had to
But
make
okay,
you
but
happy.
Have you ever done that in open court? Have you just suddenly, during the closing argument,
just
been like,
testing you, John.
I made that
I
up.
just made that up. It was. I needed to keep their attention. I needed them to understand that
I'm
in
keeping
that
you
Werner
wrapped.
situation, if the broker had known the speed, or if the broker had known that they were in the act,
That's
in
a
their
great
weather.
example.
You want to know another one? Is in the
Yeah.
broker's on the phone with a carrier, and the carrier is not supposed to be on the phone at all, and gets in an accident. There you go.
So that's an example
like
of
a
the broker
dispatch
talking
call.
too much.
Okay.
Where are you? Where are you? The driver's driving down the road and then hit somebody because he's on the phone. Well, guess who's on the phone with? The broker. Guess who's liable as well?
we're-
The broker. Guess what? I ruin people's dinner time. Just so you guys know. Like,
Talking about
I'm a buzzkill.
hypotheticals?
Yeah.
can
No,
go
like,
on and on
like
with these
death
crazy
by
guys.
where's my freight phone call.
Yeah.
Death by like harassment by
like-
cell phone.
You're doing it right now. Like, so pick out another person and say how they're at risk and
Okay.
ruin their dinner.
Yeah, listen, how about Arlen? How's Arlen at risk? He's running an event here, an entire event.
Oh, how is he responsible?
I mean, did everyone sign waivers here? Because I thought over there's a really sharp table. So if somebody trips and falls and they hit their head, that's another one. That's not as exciting as trucking accidents. Trucking accidents are really
Wow.
exciting.
She may be cutting a little too close.
I'll tell you another one that many brokers don't
Yeah.
know. This one isn't as
Everyone's suddenly going to
sexy.
pack up and leave. They're like, oh no.
See, I told you, I don't know whose idea it was to bring a lawyer on play.
So is that like, so Craig was on, and you're talking about how sometimes he can't even watch our own content, not only because he does a lot and you just get exhausted, but because you become too critical. It's hard to remove yourself from it. So
It's
are
true.
you able to watch like lawyer shows without going like nuts? And you're like,
Yes,
that's just not the way it goes. Because Chad can't read books without like underlining stuff and correcting things. And trying to like choose his own adventure. He's always like, I'm like, Chad,
I'm always
you
like,
just gotta
that
read this in a
sentence could have
normal
been
book.
better. Or, wow, that sentence, I wish I had written that.
Oh God, mind yourself. He doesn't read anything I write.
So when you come to a
But
conference
yes.
like this, though, other than like trying to get people sued, what else do you like? What are you trying to get out of something here?
I make connections. I'm trying to get people to understand that there is help out there when things go wrong. Because often when you have a hostage load, when you have a bond claim, when you have a cargo claim, and your life is just on fire as a broker every day, you literally don't think I can call a lawyer to help.
A
No one-
point
no
of
one really thinks
optimism after all of the risk and scaring us so much.
Yeah,
There
that was
is
really
help.
nicely said.
Well,
Point
well,
of
thank you.
optimism.
I think it was nicely said of you.
Yeah.
So very nice, Cassandra Gaines.
All right, we have 5 minutes left. I think
Oh.
we're going to bring a very special guest over here, this bearded gentleman.
Oh,
Yeah, he
this
just
is
made
one of my
content.
best friends.
Are you guys friends?
Yes. Did you know? Actually, I have something to tell you guys.
Yeah.
He said to somebody earlier
Don't tell
that
them that.
I'm telling them.
Don't
I'm
tell
telling
them
them that I was similar to head lice. He
You are
can't
similar to
stand
head lice?
to get rid of me.
She said she's tough to
Oh.
get rid of.
Yeah.
I said you can't get rid
No,
of her
you
even
just
if
use
you want to.
shampoo. You
Yeah.
just use a
Well,
little
she
shampoo.
knows that we all need a little
for
help.
me, I can't. If
Yeah.
I shave my beard, my wife will leave me.
Oh, okay.
And I don't have hair.
Is that why you got lice?
got
So
worse.
I'm
Overreacting.
stuck.
Ryan at CarrierDirect. Ryan Schreiber.
He said I was a specific type of head lice.
Legal
Whoa.
and lice
I would never
advice.
say
Wow,
that.
she's-
I would never say that.
That's
It was good to talk to you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah,
you
you
too.
Oh,
Cas-
yeah.
Yes, let's
I already
get
have
her.
a T-shirt.
Cassandra Gaines of the Gaines Law Group, a managing partner there. Fantastic to have you on.
You guys will
Our
have
most-
fun with him.
You're the most entertaining attorney we've had on What the Truck.
Why don't you say nice things
here.
like that to me?
do.
This is an extra
Just
large.
not
If you
around
go
other
if you go
people.
over to the registration desk too, hold on to that when you give it to a friend, but they have other sizes.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah. Cassandra and I are great friends.
Hi,
Thank you.
yes. Maybe the only attorney, but definitely the most fun one.
She's not the only attorney. So Cassandra and I are good friends because I'm an attorney.
Oh!
She's an attorney.
Okay.
You are an attorney?
But I'm on the right. So like Cassandra and I are like two sides of the same coin, right? She's an attorney who knows about freight. I'm a freight person who also happens to be an attorney. So that's how
Wait.
that's
Oh,
part
wow.
of
That's
that's
the same
how
thing,
much we
isn't
love
it?
each other.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait,
similar.
That's one of those mind games you're playing.
Yes.
Did you teach her everything she knows, or did she teach you everything you know?
That's a great question. I think she probably taught me everything I know.
I like see with the
Oh,
beard though.
that-
you
he's
do it a
gotta
little
say
bit better
that
than
I
now.
got to think about it a little
He's
bit.
got to say that now.
So for people who don't know, what is CarrierDirect?
So CarrierDirect, a consulting company, we work exclusively in transportation. So we do traditional management consulting, which is like compensation, reorganization, process improvement. Then we also do custom technology development. So we build proprietary software for our clients. Work exclusively in transportation, 3PLs, brokers, carriers.
So if you are creating the actual thing they're using, are you liable if something goes wrong? And then do you protect yourself?
Are we liable if something goes wrong?
You probably have a sort of waiver, right? You're just giving advice. I mean, there's a layer of
How
risk
long-
that's
how long
prevented
is the
in
waiver?
consulting.
How long is the waiver? Very long. All waivers are long, right? Nobody reads that stuff anyway,
Of
right?
course, yeah.
You just sign it and keep going.
Except the rival lawyer.
Right.
And you hope that they're not as good as you are.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. And
So-
if it's Cassandra, screwed.
So what are the kind of things you're finding yourself consulting on? What do shippers, carriers, the people you're talking to, what do they need advice on in 2019?
The three things we end up talking about the most are people.
Yeah.
Right? I think the thing I found most interesting from some of the seminars
Like
yesterday.
you just gossip about people?
Yeah. We're like, this fucking guy.
He's got likes.
I can see he's got a gift for Gab right here.
Yesterday, Andrew and Matt Pyatt talking about the future of freight. What was the thing they spent more than 50% of their time talking about? People.
Yeah.
So people at the center of everything. What to do with all this technology? How do I even apply this to my business? I have all these other problems, process problems, comp problems. Technology we know is not an elixir. So how do I fix that stuff? And then where do I even start on the technology front? And then how do I get a competitive advantage outside of technology? How do I get better? How do I organize my business that makes me more competitive than my competitors? How do I use something like lean staffing, right, to be more competitive in creative ways and be creative about my business? That also keeps the heart of my business intact.
It's about good culture. It's about good people.
Right.
I mean, it's still in the end.
Yeah,
right?
culture is the hardest thing to affect, right? Because it's such an esoteric concept, and it's really in the clouds. So you want to keep the heart of your business intact. You got to know what that is, and then address it appropriately.
What platform that you see here, other than maybe Sonar, do you think that is really practical and going to help a lot of your clients? You can just say the type of service it is if you don't want to name drop a company because the check hasn't cleared, but
so anything that has a really specific use case. So something where somebody's not trying to boil the ocean. So for instance, we're really bullish on Hub Tech.
Yeah.
Or HubTran, excuse me, the payment platform and document
Payments
management.
are so hot right now. Everybody loves talking up the payment platform.
Well, it's non-revenue generating. Transportation companies at the end of the day, their sales organizations are an execution arm. So anything that takes away from generating revenue is an expense, and a dollar saved in expense is a dollar to the bottom line. So
I love that you said that, because when I was a broker and I worked for a 3PL, I really felt like no matter what they said, all we really were was a sales and marketing arm for a much larger Chinese overseas agent.
That's it, yeah.
Because we couldn't make our own rates. We were beholden to them. They controlled basically everything we did other than the look of stuff.
Yeah.
But you're basically just white gloving other people's box.
Yeah, we're sales organizations. We have to generate sales. We have to bring on customers. If we don't do that, it doesn't matter how great our back office is. So efficiencies we can get in the back office are something I've always been really passionate about. And then managing liability.
And well, everyone likes to get paid and as fast as possible. How do you get paid? Tell them where to find you, Ryan.
CarrierDirect.com is a great place to start. And shoot me an email, give me a call. Follow me on LinkedIn. I'm always posting on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
By the way, you need to get back into posting those videos of that guy dancing. I love those every Friday.
Oh my God, yeah, I know.
I noticed you haven't posted them in
I've just been
6 weeks, and I'm like, is Dooner okay?
That's because we're up to 10 podcasts on Freightcast. I just get more and more busy as we grow and grow and grow.
That guy cracks me
I love that dude's like a German dude, right?
Yeah, it's so funny, man. Just in his kitchen, I love it. I love it. He's so good. Yeah, you wouldn't expect it. Yeah.
Great to have you on, Ryan. Ryan Schreiber.
Yeah, we'll see you guys.
Yeah, see you later.